Hey friends, welcome back. So this is going to be a little bit of a different type of video. Usually I stick to vlogs and bookish type of videos, but this is going to be more of a sit down chatty kind of video. I've been working on getting this video up for a few weeks now, but I wanted to kind of process my thoughts and get a little bit further into what I'm going to be talking about before I sat down and filmed this. I have talked about it a little bit in vlogs that will probably be up before this, or I'm hoping to get this up first, but things might be a little bit out of order. But I wanted to sit down and do a dedicated video for this to talk about it. My YouTube channel, I've always wanted it to be kind of like a diary for myself. I try not to worry too much about like the numbers and followers and that kind of thing, and just let that be what it is, and really use this as a way to just capture my life and what's going on in it. And I've managed to do that. I have been posting videos on here on and off since like 2016, 2017. A lot of those years definitely weren't like fully consistent, but it definitely has been on and off since then. And I have been able to capture a lot of different like events in our lives and a lot of different chapters in our lives. I've had 2 or 3 jobs probably since I have been posting to YouTube. My husband has changed jobs. We've gone different health journeys with him, are on a current, different health journey with him. I've logged through a lot of COVID and job changes because of COVID and that kind of thing. So this being a new like chapter of my life and a new thing happening in my life, I wanted to capture that as well. And like I said, I wanted it to be a separate dedicated video. So I would be talking about health and wellness, and spoiler alert, I'll be talking about diabetes and food. If any of that is like triggering to you, then you may not want to watch this particular video. So I'm just going to kind of go back from the beginning and talk about this like chronologically, and how things kind of came about. But the ultimate point of this video is that is to share with you guys that about 3 weeks ago, I was diagnosed with diabetes. Diabetes does run pretty prevalently in my family, especially on my mom's side. Both my grandparents have diabetes. My aunt had diabetes. She had type 1 diabetes and struggled with it her whole life. She has unfortunately since passed. It's been 10 years actually since she passed away. And so as I've gotten older and my metabolism has changed and my body has changed and weight has been an issue for a long time, it was always kind of in the back of my mind that diabetes was like a possibility in my life. It wasn't a huge shock when the doctor told me that I had diabetes. Of course, I was hoping that would not be the case, but it wasn't a huge shock. So when I was a kid, up until I was about 11, I was always super skinny, very thin, like thin. Like people used to say my legs looked like matchsticks. Like I was so thin. My family, they would have to like force me to eat, which I think has contributed to a lot of my like food issues now as an adult. But it was always very much like clean your plate, you sit there until you finish eating, eat all your vegetables, all the things that kids are normally told. But yeah, I was super, super thin, like very high like metabolism. And then when I was 11, I hit puberty and everything changed. I used to be stick thin, and then I filled out and had curves, and I'm Cuban, and I definitely have the body of like a Cuban woman, and those like genetics, and yeah, everything filled out, stopped growing height wise, and just filled out and gained weight. And after that, my metabolism slowed down, and I'm just someone that's just my body. I just have a body where it's very easy for me to gain weight. So I was able to maintain my weight for a long time because from the time I was like 17 until I was about 21, I didn't have a car. So to get to work, I started working when I was 17. We lived in a small town, so we walked everywhere. I walked to work. I walked to school. My senior year of high school, I would get out of school at like 11 or 12 and walk to work. My first job was at Albertsons, and I would walk in our small town from the high school to Albertsons, and for years after, I would walk to work. Or I would take like our public transportation, like a bus, but then I would have to walk from the bus stop to whatever job I had at the time. So I think that walking like consistently every day when we lived in Vegas, so during the summer it was very hot, I was sweating a lot, I think that helped a lot to keep my weight down and combat like my bad eating habits, or at least enough to maintain my weight, because I was the same weight for a long time. And then Nick got sick, and the first time on his first kidney transplant, and for 2 years he was on dialysis, and we didn't leave the house very much because he was very sick, and our lifestyle became very sedentary, and that's slowly when things started to change. Then after that, I started working in human resources, which is mostly a sit-down job. And then eventually I started driving and got a car, so I was no longer walking, as much. There were times when I was walking a few miles a day to and from work, and I was no longer doing that. So as that changed is when my body really started to change, and I really started to gain even more weight, and I pushed into the overweight, and I think technically now I'm obese. And weight can play a huge part in a diabetes diagnosis, which is why I'm talking about this. So again, over the years, I knew that I was overweight and that my eating habits weren't healthy. There have been times when I've been able to kind of stick to some kind of regimen and lose weight, but it's never been a ton of weight, maybe 8 to 10 pounds. But then I usually end up gaining it back. So I am not someone who loves going to the doctor. I hate going to the doctor, honestly. I try not to do it. We are at the doctor's office and doing so many medical things with Nick that kind of takes all my focus. I know it shouldn't be like that, but and he's not that way at all. He's been telling me to go to the doctor for years. But we spend so much time in the doctor's already that it's like the last place I want to be, and I think maybe in the back of my mind, I kind of knew that this might be the diagnosis, and I was just trying to kind of like bury my head in the sand and not have to think about it. So thyroid issues are also very prevalent in my family. My mom is one of 7, all girls. I have 6 aunts, and the majority of them are all on some type of thyroid medication. And so I always thought that maybe that was an issue. One of my cousins has that issue as well. So I always thought maybe that was one of my issues, but it's been very hard to get it diagnosed. But that was always in the back of my mind as well, and I thought maybe that was contributing to the reason why I couldn't lose weight. And some of the other symptoms that I was having. I've always been very sleepy. I'm always tired. Doesn't matter. I could sleep 12 hours and I'll still wake up tired. If I'm sitting reading, next thing you know, I'm nodding off. And to me, it always felt like it wasn't just normal. It wasn't just that I needed a nap. People take naps during the day. I don't usually, especially because I work 9 to 5, so there isn't really time to take a nap during the day. But I've never been like that. But I always felt like it was more than just being tired. I don't really know how to explain it other than that. But it was more than just being tired. It was just something that was happening. And I'm always very cold. My fingers swell and unswell a lot. I'm always very thirsty. So I have a lot of these symptoms that could be contributed to maybe to a thyroid issue, but also could be contributed to diabetes. So about 6 months ago, I started thinking okay, I want to do something about this. I really need to get this stuff figured out. I'm not getting any younger. I turn 35 next week actually, and I started thinking, okay, well, maybe I've been hearing about people getting on Ozempic, and there's a few YouTubers I watch who have been on it and who have lost weight, and originally my thought was, okay, I'm going to go meet with the doctor, talk to them about Ozempic, and maybe I can get on Ozempic. As well as talking to them about the thyroid, like, suspicions that I had, as well as I had suspicions that I have ADHD, and just all these things. So my parents suggested the nurse practitioner that they go to, and they said that she is very sweet and understanding, and she listens to you, and she's not rushing you out of the room, and she takes what you have to say seriously. She wants it to be a, like, partnership of both of you taking care of your health, and not just her telling you what to do or what she thinks or whatever. So I made a point with her. I met with her when we came back from the week we came back from Disney World in May. I think it was like May 15th. I met with her, and I told her about some of the symptoms I was experiencing, and about the ADHD, and my thoughts or suspicions about the thyroid. And she sat with me for probably a good half an hour. She listened to everything I had to say. And I hadn't had a physical in, like, forever, probably before 2020. In 2019, we were doing fertility treatments. We did IUI. We did a round of IUI. But prior to doing the IUI, I had to do all of the tests for fertility stuff. That was a long, probably 6 months of testing and constant, like, labs and ultrasounds and constantly being poked and prodded, and, like, ultrasounds on my stomach, and, like, vaginal ultrasounds, and just all kinds of stuff. And I think that was part of it too. After all of that for so long, and then the IUI didn't work, and then COVID happened, I think it was all just so much that I was, like, done with medical stuff. And I think that contributed to it a lot, of me not going to the doctor and not having a regular physical done and all that. So the first thing she said was, let's do, like, a full panel of labs, check everything, check your cholesterol, check, she did hear about my family having diabetes, so she said, let's check your A1C just to be sure, your heart, just all, blood pressure, all those things. So she said, we'll do a full panel of labs, and then I'm also going to do a special separate test for thyroid. We don't usually do this test, but I want to make sure that we properly check it and diagnose you if you do have it and whatever. So I said, okay, that sounds great. She said, let's wait until the labs come back and then we'll discuss the ADHD and potentially putting you on medication, because if you do have thyroid issues or something else that could be contributing to some of the symptoms you're experiencing that what you're thinking could be ADHD, those things could cause brain fog and distraction and, like, impaired memory and that kind of thing. So let's see what your labs say first, and then we'll see where we go from there. So the following week I went, or a few days later, my appointment with her was on a Wednesday. On the following Monday, I went and had my labs done. I think I did a vlog that day, or I was doing a vlog that day. I captured part of that. That was the week of Memorial Day, the week before, and I did do a vlog that week, which I think is already up. So you may have seen clips previously of me saying I was getting labs done and stuff. Had the labs done. On Monday, I went to see her the following, like, Wednesday, so a little bit more than a week later, I think. And she came in and she said, you know, your heart looks great, your cholesterol's great, everything else looks great, but your thyroid is perfect. You don't have thyroid, like, you can stop worrying about that. You do not have thyroid issues, but you do have diabetes. My sugar, my A1C, and, like, hemoglobin, or whatever it is that they test for diabetes, sugar levels were very high. There was 2 things that were very high. And she said, you have diabetes. And she said, that wasn't even really, like, on the radar for me. I checked it for you because I knew that you have a family history, but I didn't think that you were actually going to be diabetic. And so she assured me that it is reversible. You know, with weight loss and medication, it is treatable. It can be reversible. I don't need insulin, and I don't need to be, like, taking my sugar levels or anything. I don't have to stick myself and check sugar levels, anything like that. And like I said, I don't need insulin or anything like that. All I need is to. So basically, what she said is that all I needed to do was to cut my carbs and my sugar like in half, and to start exercising. She said you don't need to, like, Snapchat has these weird settings now where if you're talking it pops up these like emojis and stuff. So if that happens, sorry. Start like exercising. She's like, you don't need to, start trying to exercise 3 hours a day or anything like that. Like, start walking, just slowly start getting more movement into your routine. So yeah, that's basically how that came about. Like I said, I wasn't hugely shocked that was the diagnosis. I think in the back of my mind, I kind of expected it. It was a lot to process. But I think I've handled it pretty well. There was a little bit of emotion, but I haven't like cried or anything like that. It's just been more like, okay, let me fix this. And honestly, I kind of think it's a blessing in disguise. And I definitely think, if you know me, you know that my faith is a big part of my life. And so I've just reminded myself that everything happens for a reason, and God works all things out for our good. And he takes what was meant for evil and turns it for good, and all those things. And I fully believe that there's a reason that this has happened. Maybe, this was what I needed to finally motivate me. I have been doing pretty well, a lot better than I usually would at cutting out carbs and not having sugar, and especially on the weekends, trying to do better. Before I was eating a ton of rice and like hash browns and a lot of ramen, so a lot of noodles, and that has so much sodium and stuff like that. So I keep telling myself maybe this is like the kick in the butt that I needed to really get me going. And also I had planned on asking for Ozempic anyways. And who knows, maybe they wouldn't have approved it if I didn't have, when she submitted to the insurance company, she made sure to submit it as, we're not doing it just because you're obese and need to lose weight. We're doing it because you're diabetic, and Ozempic was actually made for diabetics. People use it to lose weight. That's great. That's amazing. But it was technically made for people with diabetes, and it helps people with diabetes. So she submitted it to the insurance company as like framed it that way, because you know how insurance companies are. They love to deny things, as she needs this for her diabetes, for her medical condition, not just to lose weight. So who knows? Maybe if I didn't have the diabetes and she had submitted to insurance for just weight loss, they would have denied it. Maybe, this is what I needed in order to get on it. So, ultimately, the outcome is what I wanted. Anyways, I'm on the Ozempic. It kind of gave me the mental push that I needed, and it hasn't had like a huge impact on my life. Again, if I was needing to take insulin all the time and having to check my sugar all the time, then maybe this would be a different story, because that would be a huge change. But as things stand right now, it hasn't been a huge change other than what I'm eating and, having to give myself a shot once a week, which actually really hasn't been bad. I guess I can talk about that. It took a few days for the Ozempic to get approved through the insurance. They had to get prior authorization, all that stuff. Eventually they got it approved, picked it up. I did it that same night. Originally we thought Nick would give me the injections, but I thought, let me try and do it myself. And I was able to do it. The first day, I did it in my thigh, like my upper thigh. And you can definitely feel the needle going in, but it's not hugely, painful. It's like, it feels like if you accidentally, stick your thumb with, a thumbtack or something. Really, honestly, it's more like the medicine going in that you can feel. And then the injection spot is sore for a while after. Like, my leg that first day was, or that first night was pretty sore after. Like, I could feel it on my whole leg. And then the second time I did it on my stomach, and again at the injection site I could feel the kind of soreness, but other than that I haven't really had many side effects. She did say it can make you feel a little bit nauseous, not hugely nauseous, but it's caused a little bit of nausea, kind of like when you stand up too quickly. The room spins a little bit and you feel nauseous. It's like that, but it passes fairly quickly and it's not terrible at all. The biggest side effect I've had is I'm very thirsty. I get cotton mouth a lot. So I always have to have water with me. I always have my water jug with me because I'm constantly thirsty. But other than that, I haven't really had any side effects. Other than, the food cravings and stuff, which I'll talk about, but I actually just got to work, so I'm going to do a second part of this video. I'll come back, and the next clip you see I will have filmed later on after work. Okay, so I'm back in the car now, as you can see. So what I was saying was the side effects that I've had from the Ozempic. The biggest thing about Ozempic is that it is supposed to help like curb cravings and help with the like food related thoughts and like overeating, that kind of stuff. And it definitely has like food related thoughts has never really been like a huge deal for me. I am like an emotional eater. Like if I'm really upset, then I'll want chocolate or ice cream or something. But for the most part, I'm not like constantly thinking about food or like I have to eat a ton or anything like that. But it has made a difference. I do see even less of that. And I've noticed the emotional eating has gone down. I'm able to kind of like think my way through it and like remind myself that, you know, like a piece of chocolate isn't going to fix whatever the problem is, you know? Or I can like not binge eat. I can have one piece of chocolate instead of having like an entire candy bar or something. Also, I'm not as hungry. Like when I would wake up in the morning, I would be starving by like 7. I tried intermittent fasting a while back, and I was able to do it, but by the time 10 or 11 came, when it was time for me to eat, I was ravenous, and then I was just eating anything because I was so hungry. It has helped that a lot, so that I'm able to kind of wait until like 8 to eat and like think my way through it, and I'm not to the point where I'm so starving that like I don't care about making a good decision. And also I get full a lot quicker, so now it helps me to really feel like, okay, I'm full, I'm comfortable, I'm satisfied, I don't need to overeat, I can stop now, like I've had enough. And that I think was my biggest problem, because I was raised in a family and in environments where like you eat everything on your plate, and that doesn't have to be the case. And I hate food waste, so I'm always, you know, taking leftovers and saving stuff for, you know, the next day, for lunch the next day, whatever it is. But yeah, I don't have to eat everything on the plate. I can acknowledge when I'm done and stop. And also it's helped a lot, I think, with cravings. The one thing that I am like in the past I was bad about was like temptation. Like, for example, if and I would get a salad and Nick would get like a burger and fries, I would not fixate, but I would want like some of the fries, and I would end up eating like half of Nick's fries. Whereas now I can control myself and have 1 or 2 fries, you know, a few fries, and not like an entire thing of fries. So it makes it a lot easier to control myself and for like portion control. Like we went to a Mexican restaurant last week, and I was able to have like I gave myself like 10 chips and salsa, and that was enough. I didn't feel like I had to just continually keep eating it, which is what I would have done in the past. So it helps a lot with that. And then also, by the time because I did have those chips, and because I do get full quicker, by the time the food came, I was already almost kind of full. So I had some of my dinner, and then the rest I took for leftovers for the next day. So it's just kind of controlling my eating all around and making portion control a lot easier. And yeah, I'm not as hungry all the time. It's making it easier so that I'm not eating like super late at night. Like we have dinner, and then some nights I'll want something like sweet, but I'll have a little something, and then I'm fine for the rest of the night. Where before we would eat dinner at, you know, 5:30, 6, we're done with dinner, and then by like 8 I was wanting a snack or I was wanting something. Now I don't feel that. Now as long as I have like a decent dinner, I'm basically then good for the rest of the night. Like right now, for example, I had a protein coffee for breakfast at like 8 o'clock this morning. I didn't even finish the whole thing, and now I'm hungry. It's 12:30 now. I'm hungry, but I'm not like starving, and I'm already thinking, okay, what can I go home and have? Before I would have been like, I would have been more hungry. I would have been starving, so I would have been thinking, okay, I'm starving, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna have ramen. or I'm gonna have this huge meal. That decision is a lot easier to make, and I'm not like second guessing myself. I'm not like overthinking what am I gonna have, and like I feel good about that decision. And so I think it really has helped with that. And that could also be maybe, the doctor also put me on Adderall for the ADHD. And I think before I was having such like decision overload or decision like fatigue, and I had so many options of what I wanted to have for, or could have for lunch, that I was just kind of picking the first thing because I didn't know what to pick. And so now I don't, maybe the Adderall's helping that as well, and I don't feel that like decision overwhelm anymore. I'm able to just make the decision. So I think the combination of both things is helping a lot. And yeah, so that's basically my experience with Ozempic so far. I do want to do like updates. Maybe I have a checkup. I have a checkup with the doctor next week, I think it is, or the week after. Actually, I think it's the week after. I have a checkup with the doctor. She just wants to see how I'm doing, if I'm having any side effects, anything like that. I started the Ozempic at 0.25 like milligrams or whatever it is, and then in after a month I'm going up to 0.5, and then a month after I'll go up to 1 milligram or whatever it is, and then if I need to up it from there, she'll up it from there. So I see her in a month, talk to her about any side effects I'm having or anything like that, and then in 3 months she's going to redo the testing and see if my A1C and sugar and all that has gone down. So I'll probably do an update, specific sit down talking update like this again in 3 months when I have the update and know what's going on at that point, or if it has helped or whatever. Like a specific diabetes update, I should say. But then I am still talking about it and showing stuff in my regular vlogs as well. The first appointment I had with her on May 15th, I weighed 176 pounds, and as of this morning, I weigh 167.5 pounds, so I'm like 9 point something pounds down, or just shy of 10 pounds down in, now it's been, today's the 12th, so almost a month, and I've only done 2 rounds of the shot. So far it's going well, it's working. I did start walking. My sister-in-law started walking together in the morning. She lives like 10 minutes from my house. We have we have a park across the street from our house that has a like 2-mile walking loop. So we did that all last week. We weren't able to do it this week because my brother's out of town and my sister-in-law has all 4 kids and she can't bring all 4 kids. So I'm hoping we'll be able to pick it back up next week. If not, I'll just have to start doing it on my own. So yeah, I've incorporated walking. I would eventually like to incorporate more workouts. I'll try, maybe I can find some like beginner body weight type exercises on YouTube or something. And yeah, so that is basically the updates. Like I said, I just want to kind of share this for anybody who's being diagnosed with diabetes like later in life or mid-life, in their 30s, and who maybe, because it's so prevalent in my family and because my aunt had type 1 diabetes my whole life, I'm pretty familiar with it, and I've been around people who have it, and my grandparents do have to take insulin and do have to check their sugar, and Nick had to check his sugar for a while because they thought he could be diabetic. So I've done this before, not for myself, but I've been around people who have done it, so I'm familiar with it. But I wanted to do this in case there are people who are not, and maybe who are just starting this journey as well, and maybe we can support each other, or maybe I can answer questions for anyone who doesn't know or isn't sure, hasn't been around this before. So let me know down below if any of those things is you, and I'd love to have a discussion in the comments, and if I get enough, maybe I can do like a separate Q&A question. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this if you've made it to the end of this video. If you are on a similar journey or are dealing with any kind of chronic health condition, I hope you're healthy and doing well, and having good positive results. And thank you so much again for watching this. Leave a like and a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next one.